I'll just give you a bit of background about why I really wanted to do this. Was because a couple of weeks ago, I'm a Pokemon card collector. Like, as you can see, like I got
Oh, dude,
you know,
that's
I like
so
this stuff.
sick. Yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same.
Yeah, I was trying to buy that. I was thinking of buying the base set Charizard. It was like $500, and I was just on the fence. Should I not? And then one morning, like I saw your TikTok video, and then it was about the Simpsons, NFTs, and then I don't know. Within 20 minutes, I bought it. Like that's how easy it was.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's that easy. It's so
yeah,
easy. Yeah.
yeah.
So you went
And
on the
then,
BB app and you bought it straight away.
yeah, correct. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
that week, I spent about like 2 grand USD on freaking NFTs, and then a
Oh,
week
man.
later, the profit was like 100%.
Oh yeah. It's
And then,
unreal.
yeah, and I was just thinking like, man, if I had bought that Charizard today, it would probably be worth 400 or 500. That's also on the fence. But with these NFTs, they just exploded, and then from there, I kind of learned about what they were and a bit more about how they work. So yeah, I just want to say thank you, man, for coming up in my TikTok algorithms.
Yeah, that actually went pretty viral. That one of my first videos. Everyone loved that Simpsons Disney one, which is really cool to see. And I'm happy you could get onto that before you bought that Charizard.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, man. So maybe we'll start with an easy one. What are NFTs, and why should people be taking notice?
Sure. So I just got my notes here from those questions. I might just have them here as a bit of a base so that I can have a bit more of a structured answer for you. So NFTs are essentially, the basic way to explain it is it's the first time we can pretty much give the whole internet ownership. So before NFTs were created, there was no way that we could own anything on the internet. So for an analogy to how I like to explain it, it's a pretty bad one, but it's the only way I can really explain it, is that imagine a physical world where you're walking around and you can do whatever you want. There's no ownership. There's no concept of ownership. You can walk into a house, you can sleep there. You can get into a car, you can drive that away. There's no concept of ownership, which is really hard for people to understand, but that's essentially what the internet is up to now. That's what we know it as. We can go on a website, we can steal that image, right-click save, take that video, save it. We don't care who owns it. We just take it. We might give them like a little tag on Instagram if you reuse the video, but there's no proof of ownership. NFTs essentially make the internet ownable, so you can actually own. People are starting out digital files such as images, and you saw the 3D models of the Disney characters, but essentially NFTs give you that ownership. So you get a token on the blockchain that gives you that ownership that says, yes, that image is actually yours and no one else can take it from you, which is a really hard concept to understand. And everyone in the comments are going to be like, no, you can't do that. There's no such thing as that. But that is what it is. And no matter how much you want to challenge that idea, that is what NFTs are. They give you ownership over digital assets.
Yeah. And then what do you say to people? Because I hear it all the time. They say, well, Jules, if I just screenshot it, then don't I own it as well? So isn't what you own practically useless?
Exactly. I get that. I get hundreds of comments and DMs of that every single day. And honestly, I sympathize with them because I first heard about NFTs at the beginning of this year in January. And for the first 3 weeks, I hated them. I saw them everywhere. I think Logan Paul was the first one I heard about. He was trying to sell NFTs to his followers to get into a draw to get his Pokemon cards. And I was like, that is the biggest scam I've ever heard of. But I just challenge those people to actually take just a whole day, just take a day to actually research NFTs, like what do they do, maybe some use cases for them, and not just like the mainstream, because what the problem is, the mainstream media it's so easy to make an article about them and make them sound really bad, and that's what the mainstream media does, especially crypto and all that as well. That try and just take a whole day, really understand what the technology is behind them and see how the ownership actually works. And once you figure that out, or even listen to a few podcasts, and actually listen and understand, like, wow, this is the next biggest disruptive piece of technology that we're going to live through right now after the internet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what I usually say to my friends who bring that is like, well, say I own a house. If you took a picture of my house, does that mean you own it? No.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. People say that. Yeah. People use that as well. Like, if you go to a car, you can't just get in a car and drive it away, or take a photo of it and just say that's yours now, to get in it and drive it away as well. You need the ownership to that, is like the paperwork that you sign that this is my car
certificate.
Now. Yeah, the certificate. Exactly. Same with the house as well. If you can't just go into a house and say this is mine now. That certificate is essentially what the stamp is on the blockchain when you mint that NFT and you get that token. It's the same concept.
That's exactly right, and I think that's the part where a lot of people misunderstand about NFT, because the concept of NFTs itself is actually not that hard to understand.
Yeah,
And then you realize why these prices just suddenly they can raise so quickly, why some more desirable than others, and then how scarcity also works. It's just more having that open-mindedness, I guess.
it is, and it's hard because it's the first time a digital asset can be owned as well. Like it's easy to say, like I can pick up like my phone, pick it up. This is my phone. It's easily like this is mine. It's easy to say, look, this is mine now. You can't. But if you're saying that this imaginary thing on the internet is mine now, people are like, how it's never been done before. So that concept is hard. So I compare it to the internet. Like they said back in the day that the internet was a thing, and people used to think the internet was a place. So like, how do you get there? It's like it's not a place. It's a thing. That it's that concept as well. Is that it's very hard. Like if you went back to the 90s, people you told people about the internet, what it'll become. Everyone's like, you're an absolute nutcase. There's no way this internet imaginary place that you go and you talk to people and you do video chats and all that is going to exist. And it's the same concept as well. You can't keep being ignorant, and you got to actually accept that technology progresses, and this is just the next step.
Yeah, it's almost the same mindset as cryptocurrency. Remember when that first came out? Well, what the heck is that?
Exactly. Yeah. People still don't believe in it. People still think it's a fad. And I mean, I have a few examples here that are just companies that are into it now. And you can look at the facts are that all these big companies in the world, Adidas, Atari, all these big companies, even big hedge funds. You've got people like that are buying CryptoPunks as well from Visa. Like all these companies are getting into it, and they're smart. And you can't say that these people are dumb. To make a decision to buy this imaginary thing that you're calling a fad, for Visa to do that, they need to go through so much research. They have a whole team. They're spending a lot of money on that. They're not just going to spend money on something that doesn't exist or is a fad. And a lot of people overlook that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what about you personally? Have you ever invested in cryptocurrency before you did NFTs? And if so, did that kind of help you get into it and research it a bit easily?
Yeah, so I'm 27, so I started investing just in the normal stock market, just with family, word of mouth. Dad says this, do that, for about 5 years ago, and I just did it, but I didn't really research about it. I just had some money coming in. I said I might as well put a bit away just so I can hopefully appreciate in value. And then 2017 came along. I got into crypto pretty much like most people back then, and I got wrecked during that huge. The bear market pretty much went on for a few years after that. I didn't put in too much money, but what intrigued me more was the technology behind it. Most people will hear about the NFTs and blockchain and they're just and crypto and be like, I just want to make a lot of money. But I'm more, because I'm an engineer by trade, I'm more interested in how everything works. So I went researched the blockchain and I was like, this is amazing. But then I figured out that it's literally a threat to the governments, it's a threat to banks. So I kind of just stopped it there. I was like, there's no way this is going to get any further than it is right now, because it is a threat to centralized systems like the banks and the governments. It's trying to promote like a whole decentralized, promote a new society essentially. So I was more interested in that, invested into that, saw it all dumb. So then I only spent a few months after that really looking at it, because I just thought this is dead now. There's no way the banks and the governments are going to let this keep going. And then this year came along, and then I heard about NFTs, and I just hopped straight back into it like December last year, about a year ago now. So I've invested in, and I'm heavily invested in a lot of cryptocurrency now, not much as the stock market anymore.
Yeah, understandable. And I think a lot of people, I think our age and under are starting to look more into, investing in NFTs, cryptocurrencies. Because if you look at like the housing market in Australia now, the barrier to entry is so high. It's such a turn-off.
Ridiculous. It is. It's impossible for the youth to get involved in investments like that now. It's not. No one wants to do it. I never had my partner's invested in a house, and that house has accrued double the value since COVID has happened, as you probably know. And I'm just thinking to myself, what about these poor kids that are like 12 now, and like 5 years time when they're trying to buy a house, 10 years time? It's going to be impossible. So it's good for cryptocurrency and NFTs then, because then they can, hopefully that gets more attention and they actually appreciate technology behind it before they start investing into that as well.
Yeah, that's true. Especially when I saw that Simpsons one, for example, my first one, that was $320. And I feel like a lot of people would at least have that much in their wallet. Why would you not want to go for the first ever Simpsons Disney NFT? Like, mate, rather than sitting up for a house and living hard for the next 10 years, right?
Exactly. That's a concept that a lot of people don't get, and I still struggle to, because my brain works, I figured out my brain works, and yours probably as well works different than everyone else, is that these people come in and they're like, it's the Simpsons one, they don't understand it's the first of, and I try to explain to them in my DMs on like chats, I'm like, guys, it's the first ever. You do realize that in like 10 years time, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of variants of this. There can only ever be one first. It's like having the first Charizard card, like that first edition Charizard card now that goes for hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, depending on which one it is. It's the same concept there, but they still don't understand that. And that's why I've started flipping my NFTs to stuff, because I got into VV really early. I was one of the first 10,000 users back in like the beginning of March, end of Feb. So I started just flipping because I just didn't think it was going to last that long. There's only 10,000 users. But then as soon as it started getting crazy and crazy, I haven't flipped anything in months now, just because I can see the value now. They've gone from 10,000 users to 1 million. They've got 2 million downloads now, 1.1 million monthly average users since in the span of 7 months. I can only see this going exponentially higher, as it's the easiest way to get involved with NFTs. It's the most user-friendly as well. And they are the first. Like, you can never get a first again. And to me, that's a huge concept, especially in the collecting world. You probably understand about that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think with the Simpsons one and with the rest of the common ones from the Disney Golden Moments, there's only 13,000. And I always say, every single human in the world knows what the Simpsons is, but there's only 13,000 of these.
Exactly. 13,000 is nothing compared to the millions, the hundreds of millions of fans for that brand. And that's the problem as well with these OpenSea NFTs, is that people go straight for them. And I try to explain to them, like, why would you try and spend? And you're probably spending $700 to get one of them. Why would you try and buy this brand or this image that you're hedging your bet against for long term to be successful, when you literally have these brands that are on BB that are $50 to buy, $6.99 for comics, that already have 100 million fan base, and because less than 2% of the world own NFTs, you know that mass adoption will come eventually. It's just a no-brainer to me. You've already got a fan base there, so that means that equals demand. That means that more people will want it. There's already limited supply there as well. The supply can't get higher for the first editions. So it's confusing to me that people don't get that, but I mean, everyone's different.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing that I want to talk about, I thought maybe you might be able to help me with this one. A lot of people have been telling me that the NFT market is going to crash really hard sometime next year. What do you think of that? And
I mean, no one will really know, to be honest. I do think it's very saturated now, especially within OpenSea. I don't think VV's, because we got to remember there's so many different ecosystems within the NFT space. There's OpenSea, there's all the Ethereum-based ones like Polygon, Immutable X. You've also got the Solana, you've got Solart, you've got all those different marketplaces that have their own ecosystems. All of them, I can guarantee you now, I get hundreds of DMs a day from these projects that want to promote through my page that are saying, hey, we want to promote you. We'll give you 1% if we sell out, or we'll give you this much paid promotion if you become a marketing manager. All of these guys are just trying to make money. Most of them are trying to make money. 95% of them hear about this NFT thing. You only need 3 people. You only need a developer. You only need like a marketing person and probably someone to manage a Discord. With those 3 people, you can set up a 10,000, and you also need an artist as well. So with those 4 people, you can literally, it takes you a few months. You need $10,000 to $50,000, depending on how much you want to spend on marketing, plus the gas fees, plus the art as well. And then you have a whole collection set up. So you spend $10,000 to $50,000. You spend a few months, and if it sells out, I've got this calculation worked out on my Discord, by the way. If they sell out at the lowest price that they're selling on OpenSea now, they make $2 million. So for a few months' work, they make $2 million. It's just a no-brainer for people to get into the NFTs right now. And that's why you see there's thousands now dropping every month. There's just so many. It just keeps going up exponentially. And I think those projects will go to zero. So everything that are just in there for the cash grab, and they're in there for the short term to make their money move on. And most of these people, you don't even know who they are. They don't put any of their profiles anywhere. They're just like a random name in Discord. So what they do is that they make these projects, pump it, dump it, then move on to the next one, make another $1 million. And that's what they do. They're just doing that all year round. Those projects are going to go to zero, but I reckon 5%, like the VVs that already have a brand there, and maybe the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, because they've already transcended the NFT realm. They've already got all these big partnerships with Hollywood companies and I've also got a lot of backing from celebrities and that. They'll keep going. I don't know if their price will still keep going up, because it's still a brand new speculative market right now. But I think they will hold most of their value, and all of the shitty projects that are just there for the cash grab are all going to go down. I'm calling at least 90 to 95% of the projects launched in 2021 will lose most of its value or go to zero within the next 1 to 5 years.
Okay, cool. And then, so with that being said, I guess it's important to know where to invest your money when it comes to NFTs. What's your advice for, say, a beginner who wants to actually start dabbling in it? What's the safest way to kind of get into it without losing like 95% of their equity?
That's the hard bit, because this market is changing so much. Like when I first started this in like March, the market was completely different. For a few months, you could buy anything and it would go up. And the market, because it's so new, I've never seen a market like this. It's probably what Bitcoin was like back in 2012 or 13. Right. this is what it's like now. But it's also exciting because imagine if you could go back to 2013 and you knew about Bitcoin. You'd make those moves now that you knew about. Now, you know what's going to happen now. You'd be making those moves back then to be stacking this. You know, that's better than that. VV is what I always recommend because I've got hundreds of friends and family that get involved. I recommend VV because it's just the most easiest user-friendly. You don't need to buy crypto to get involved. There are a few problems with cashing out right now, but it's just because it's just to do with legalities and all that. But VB is just the easiest. It's an app. You just you transfer your money into the app and you buy the collectibles from there. If you want to go and do OpenSea, you need a MetaMask. You need to know what cryptocurrency to put on that MetaMask. You need an exchange. You need a Coinbase. You need a Binance account. You transfer money from that into that MetaMask, then transfer that MetaMask, log it into your OpenSea, buy, and you need to know about gas fees. You need to know about when to buy, when not to buy. It's a whole process to do that. Every single platform is pretty much like OpenSea. If you want to get involved with Solana, it's the same. Not as much gas fees. The gas fees aren't as expensive, but it's still very complicated, and the onboarding process for like the general retailer is very hard. So VB is the first thing I always recommend. But with my page, that's what I'm trying to do, is educate these people firstly about the scams involved, because man, there's so many scammers out there.
Yeah,
especially with the OpenSea ones. There's so many scammers. Every day there's a new scam. So I try to share that on my page as well, because first thing is, the most important thing is security, and I think a lot of beginners overlook that. There's no point making $1 million if your MetaMask isn't secure or you're connected to a dodgy website, and then they just drain you $1 million. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. But definitely BB is a good place to start, because it's just easy to understand. And then once you get a bit more confident, you can move on to OpenSea, Solana NFTs, Cardano NFTs, all that.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean, because like I think a lot of people do grasp the concepts of NFT, but like you said, it's such an exercise to actually go to OpenSea, and you see a lot of junk on there, and you just feel like, is this worth doing?
Yeah, that's right. It's just overwhelming. Yeah, and you don't know as well. Like, is this why am I even looking at this project? What makes a project better than another project? There's all these little 100%. Factors. That is just a learning curve. I'm lucky enough to have been in the game for nearly a year now, so I can kind of pick it and choose and know when to play my hand or not. But that was a steep learning curve, and I've lost thousands of dollars, but also gained a lot of money from it as well. That's true. It's just experience, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I recommend VB to a lot of people as well. Just like I said, when I saw your TikTok video, I was able to purchase my own within 30 minutes. Like, it's so simple.
So simple, yeah.
Yeah. So so that's pretty cool. And then, so my next question is, what are you personally trying to do in the NFT space? Because I know you have a TikTok account that's growing pretty quickly. You're making awesome content. So what's the objective for you there?
It first started off as a joke, actually, because I'm that NFT guy within all my friend groups and my family, and I've been that guy since like March this year. So I spent hours a day just answering like beginner questions from my friends and family for like the last 5 months, and I just kind of got over it. So I was like, man, I'm just gonna make this page, and if they wanna, because they tell their friends and their friends message me, and then it's just the same process over and over again. I was just like, I'll just make this page, and if they wanna learn, they can just go and then watch the videos one by one. So that's how it started. But now I realized after I made those videos, I had hundreds to thousands of DMs from just beginners asking, what is OpenSea? What is this? And I realized that it's actually there's a huge learning curve for a beginner. Beginners are literally just stuck. They have no idea what to do. So then I realized I should actually start helping these people out. So I made a Discord group that's nearly got 2,000 people in there now in the last 2 weeks. And I'm just trying to just help as many beginners as I can to avoid, especially scams first. I don't ever shill projects, or like most Discord groups you'll join if you are experienced with the NFT space. They're all just in there pumping their own projects. They're all talking about this. No one's actually educating anyone. And the whole purpose of my page, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Discord is to just take it back a few steps and just to be like, hey guys, this is what MetaMask is. Hey guys, there's no dumb questions in here. I always tell them there's no dumb questions in here. If you have any questions, go ahead and I will answer them, because there's no Discord like that out there. And so that's my purpose right now, just to help all these people, because this is a life-changing opportunity right now. It's like knowing that being where Bitcoin was in 2008. That's how I think of it. Except I think NFTs are going to be bigger, because it adds an extra.
Really?
Bitcoin. I think NFTs might be bigger than Bitcoin, mainly because this human emotion and connection. With Bitcoin, it's just a coin. With any stock market, with anything, like, you can just liquidate easy. You can get in, you can get out. It's easy. You have no emotional connection to a Bitcoin. Whereas with NFTs, a lot of these first NFTs that collectors grab, there's a lot more emotional. And you'll find as well, if you get involved in OpenSea, that people find it harder to let go of that NFT that they buy, even if their main purpose was to flip it. They'll get in, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to flip this. They get it, they see it's really cool. And then you see people like commenting, guys, I don't want to get rid of this. I actually really like this project. And because of that as well, I think it's going to push the market and the adoption of cryptocurrency a lot quicker than crypto would have been without NFTs.
Oh, I agree. Definitely agree with that. Yeah. So, and then I know that you have made some content about people saying how NFTs are a scam.
Yeah.
What are the silly things that you're hearing so far?
To be fair, if you're going to call a cash grab project a scam, then technically the 95% of the projects on OpenSea are. I mean, it depends on what you classify a scam is. Like right now with the legalities and laws, like the government's always trying to catch up because they probably don't even know what's happening right now on OpenSea, the technicalities behind it. But if they could regulate it, then all these projects that are releasing every day, technically they are very scammy because most of them, their incentive and their objective is to make money and not to look after their community. So in that case, like I agree with them. I always say that, guys, I agree with you. Like 95% of these projects are the biggest cash grabs you'll ever see. But the ones that are saying that it's money laundering and all that, it's hard to prove whether it's money laundering or not. But it's the blockchain. They have to understand, if you understand the blockchain, is that it's the hardest place. It's the stupidest place to money launder because everything is on the blockchain forever to see. Like if you're doing like cash, if you're money laundering through cash in hand, like in person, no one's going to see me give $10,000 over to like this drug dealer over there in person, unless they have a camera around. Whereas if it's on the blockchain, if I transfer this person from my MetaMask to their MetaMask, $10,000, that's stuck there forever. That can go back. You can go back in 100 years, 1,000 years. You can see that transaction is there, and I move money from there to there. So to me, that money laundering argument, there might be some of it, but I don't think it's as much as people think it is, because it's just the stupidest place to money launder if you're a criminal, because it's just stuck on the blockchain forever.
Okay. And then what are some of like the red flags that you can identify? I'll say like a beginner wanted to go on OpenSea and wanted to get into a project. How do you identify the red flags of a project that's not so great, something that's actually legitimate? Yeah,
this is actually a really good question, and we've got this pinned in our Discord. One of my good friends that helped me run my Discord actually wrote this up. But there's a lot of things you got to consider, but these are the main ones that I would consider if I was a newbie. First is check the team out. If the team is not doxed, so doxed means if they haven't revealed who they are, like you haven't linked their LinkedIn or like an Instagram photo, so you know exactly who they are. If they're not doxed, usually that's not really a good sign to start off with, because that means that you don't know who they are. They can literally just pump it, dump it, and move on to the next one. So it's not a red flag, because there's a lot of projects that have done well that the teams aren't doxed, but it's just something to consider. Like, hey, if you were that person and you just made $1 million, would you stick around, or would you move on to another project and then just pump that and dump that again and make another $1 million? That's probably the first thing. Second is the community wasn't built authentically over time. So essentially, if you're very hyped, like you see some of these projects now, they build 200,000 people in their Discord over the span of a week. That's not very organic, and I don't think that's very sustainable. So they're all in there because they just want to get the project, pump it, and get out of there. None of them, they're not really there because they love the project. A lot of them are there and they'll be lying. They'll be like, guys, I love this so much. But really in the background, they're about to sell their NFT. So if the community is just built due to hype, I would be very careful about that. I'd rather a community that takes months to years to grow to like 10,000 to 20,000 followers, because then they're all in there for a reason. Their longevity is a lot more sustainable as well. The third one is actually really important. You got to make sure that their Twitter followers and the Discord followers are actually real. So a lot of people are buying those, or Instagram if they're on Instagram, but the main places that you check NFT projects out are Twitter and Discord. You need to make sure, and a good way to check that is to just check their like to follower ratio. So most of them won't be smart enough to buy the likes to go along with their followers. So they might have like 100K followers on their Twitter, but then if you look at their likes of their most recent posts, they only have 5 likes. That way you can tell straight away, I'm not hopping into that because that's definitely paid. And in Discord as well, you can kind of see if they've got 100,000 users in there, but no one's talking. You can kind of tell as well they're all fake and they're not real. So you're about to buy a project that might just pump and dump. So they're probably the main ones there. They're probably the 3 or 4 main ones.
Okay, cool. Do you ever think maybe that possibly in the future, NFTs could replace physical collectibles like comics, statues, figurines, those type of things?
I don't think they'll replace them, but this is a concept as well that most people don't really get, is that, like you said, you saw my video on Simpsons, you got on the app, you bought it straight away, and you have an asset there that you bought that you also have an emotional connection with because you love the Simpsons within the span of like 30 minutes. And that concept of interoperability, but also the time, because people right now are patient. Our time span and our phones, everything's just making us more impatient, is that people undervalue time a lot. And the fact that we can buy NFTs this quickly, and I can buy this, I can flip it straight away, someone else can have that in literally in a second. that whole concept as well is, I think, going to be very undervalued in the future. Is that I don't think they're going to replace physical collectibles, but I think they're going to overtake them because they'll have more usability with them. If I have like a fancy watch, or I have a first edition Charizard card, and it's worth $1 million, I'm not going to want to take that out and show everyone on the street, like, check this out. I don't want to. If people want to flex their stuff as well, I'm not going to take that out and show it. I'll put it in a safe. And you can never. What's the point of it being in there? No one can see it. Whereas if you have $1 million JPEG of like a CryptoPunk, you put that as your profile picture. You can take that out, show your friends. You can do way more with it. And that concept as well, where you can also flex it, which people don't like to admit it, but they like to flex. That concept awesome. To be able to, and even the VV NFTs, like, you can show your Simpsons that might be worth like $10,000 in the future. You can show them in person. This is the actual asset that I have. It's not like hidden in a safe somewhere. And that concept as well of being able to flex that it's like a social currency. Like, why do we like a blue tick? It's just a social currency that, like, we identify as like, hey, he's cool because he has that. And that concept as well is not really appreciated, especially through owning a digital asset. Whereas like the physical assets, I think they might just become less, people will like them less as well. And especially with kids gaming as well, like kids are spending $1,000 in Fortnite skins every Christmas and every birthday. That's all they want. They want digital assets in a game. Half kids right now don't really want, like, they're moving into like a digital age right now where they're all on their phones, they're all on their laptops, they're playing Roblox. That's like the #1 game right now. And I think the digital assets are just going to move up, while the physical assets, their demand, are just going to go down.
Yeah, like I always tell people now is, like, one day our great grandchildren are gonna say, I wish my great grandfather bought NFTs while he was. What a dumbass, you know.
Exactly.
I'm trying to get in early now, you know.
Yeah. 100%. I want my great grandkid to look back and be like, that's right, my dad bought the first ever Batman NFT in history.
That's right.
And he saved it for me, like, check this out. And he's like flexing it to his friends, like, I want to be that grandpa. I don't want to be the grandpa that was like, yeah, I called that a scam and I didn't take the time to look into it. And then now my grandkids have nothing to flex.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. This has been fun, man. I think we should wrap it up soon. But before that, I just wanted to ask, because I personally really love Pokemon.
I do as well. I'm the biggest Pokemon fan, man. You have no idea. Yeah, I'm the biggest Pokemon fan.
Awesome. What do you think the future of Pokemon will be for the NFT space? Do you think it will go to VV? And then, you know, what type of, is it a good investment, do you think?
Pokemon 100%. As soon as the first ever Pokemon, whether it's like a stamp or whatever the first one is, I'm hedging my bets on getting that straight away, because I think in history, the brand is just too strong, and they're just so, like, right now, even kids still watch Pokemon to this day. The branding is just too strong in that franchise, and I also really love it. I've done a lot of research. That was the first thing that got me into NFTs, actually, to buy my first one, was because BB has Alfred Kahn, who's the guy that he was the guy that bought the rights to Pokemon from Japan over to the Western world, and pretty much he made Pokemon to what it is today. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Pokemon. And he's still their head of licensing to this day. So I'm hedging a lot of bets on that as well, because he's there. David Yu, who's also the guy that is the co-founder of VB, he's had the rights to Pokemon for years. He was in New Zealand as well. He owned like a toy store there, and he had the rights to Pokemon. And they also have Jeremy Padawa, who owns the global licensing rights to Pokemon right now, the toy rights, the physical toy rights. He's an advisor for VB. So if you follow him on Twitter, you can see every week he'll post about VB and how amazing they're. So all the signs post to VB, just because they're like, you've got all these big heads in the game, and Alfred Khan is probably one of the most famous licensors in the world. He has so many contacts. It is pointing to VB, but there's no confirmation for that yet, because I just haven't seen any good information about that yet. But if it was to drop on another platform, I'd happily go on another platform and get it as well. But right now, I'm hoping it's on VB, because it's just easy and it makes sense. I mean, imagine an augmented reality Pikachu or something. It's just easier. Right. It's easier to show, but easier to flex as well. It just makes more sense. And user experience is a lot better on VB than OpenSea.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when the first edition Charizard comes out for the NFT, I would sell the house for that, man.
I'm holding on some liquidity for that. I've got some liquidity to save there ready for that, because I know I'm not going to get it off the drop. There'll be too much demand, so I'll need to get it on the secondary market where someone doesn't really know what they're doing. I can buy it off them.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's my strategy too. I don't think I'm going to get it on the drop, but, you know, we'll have to get it somehow. You have to.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Other than that, look, thanks, man. I really appreciate your time. It's fun.
No, that's all right. I appreciate you having you on, coming on your podcast as well. I'd love to hop on in a few months' time and just see how the NFT market's going as well. Hopefully you have a few more VB NFTs by then as well.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe next time we can share and we can take a look at them. Do you want to quickly plug your Discord and where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. So on Twitter, on Discord, it's just NFT for Noobs. You can find that in our Instagram bio, which is also NFT for Noobs. 4 is just the number 4, and also on TikTok, it's NFT for Noobs as well. Same thing.
Awesome.
Awesome.
We'll definitely add those links for you. Again, Josh, thank you so much for your time, buddy. We'll chat again soon. We'll do this again.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Bye.